So we're continuing the final battle between Izuku and Shigaraki here, as Izuku is forcibly giving Shigaraki the vestiges of One For All. We saw in the previous chapter that he was successfully able to give him the second user's quirk, which was able to minorly damage the blockade within Shigaraki's consciousness or quirk factor or whatever's really going on here that is holding back the aspect of Tenko Shimura within him. Tenko Shimura being the original person that Shigaraki was as a child. So this is the whole plan here. Give him the vestiges of One For All so that they can break through within him to pull out that Tenko Shimura aspect of him. And as the second user plunged into that blockade, they started to relive memories throughout the series. And the first user, Yoichi, posits that their memories are blending together because it's an accelerated response due to One For All resonating with the All For One quirk factor, since they are brothers, Yoichi and All For One. And I guess that's just enough for their quirk factors to resonate in this way. I don't think we've seen this happen with any other siblings and their quirks, but then again, these are the two most powerful quirks to ever exist, and I'm pretty sure they're like the second and third quirks to ever exist as well, right? Because their mother, it was said that she had the very first quirk, the drill spike quirk thing. And where did she get that? I don't know if it's ever going to be explained. I think that's where Horikoshi wants to start and stop that. But it's fine. You know, there's tons of series where we don't get the full explanation on the origin of the main plot point of the series, but, you know, it is what it is. But anyway, going further, we see that Izuku is trying to just straight up give Shigaraki all of the remaining vestiges at once here. Not doing it one by one like he was before. All of them at once in one punch, trying to break through to him. You know, because his plan was to essentially make like an incision inside of Shigaraki and using Izuku's own blood on his fist to force the DNA transfer. But Shigaraki has been making that more difficult since he's been using his finger armor stuff. Also, as Izuku is about to try to land this multi-vestige transfer punch, we see a flashback to the USJ arc. And we see the USJ Nomu here, my boy. If you guys have been following the channel for a couple years, you know that I really like this character. And he's still, to this day, one of the strongest. Like, he would still be a problem if he was around today. Like, in my opinion, he's even stronger than the high-end Nomus that we, you know, saw after the fact. And it's like, why didn't Yujiko just keep making the USJ Nomu? Because he was, like, ridiculous. But I digress. Anyway, Izuku winds up hitting Shigaraki with this punch, but only one vestige is able to make it through, and it winds up being N, the sixth user with the smoke quirk. Shigaraki's will is just too powerful to the fact where he can just reject all of them being transferred at once, which is understandable because, you know, that's the whole reason that All For One groomed him, formed him in the way that he is, because All For One himself didn't have a strong enough hatred or will to be able to forcibly take One For All. So he needed to have an heir in Shigaraki to be able to do that. So it's understandable that he is strong enough to not only just forcibly take it, but to stop it forcibly being given to him. Well, not entirely, because, you know, the sixth user was still able to make it through. As Izuku says here, that means that he can't completely shut them out. And as N makes his way through into Shigaraki, he breaks through another portion of the blockade here, which causes another ramification of memories to come forth. And this is the biggest memory here that we've seen so far, because it is giving us insight into a theory that we've been speculating about for years now. Like, even way back in the pandemic, I did like a collab with Anime Uproar talking about this theory. Like, that's how long we've been discussing this. And I thought, you know, Horikoshi was just going to forget about it at this point, but no, it's because we see a memory of Tenko, you know, little Shigaraki, holding All For One's hand. And if you're wondering, like, okay, so what does this mean? Well, it means that All For One is the one who gave Shigaraki / Tenko the decay quirk in the first place. And it goes all the way back to chapter 235. Because as Shigaraki was fighting Redestro, he was like reliving some of his memories in that instance as well. You know, especially for the audience. And we got a flashback to when Tenko was 5 years old. And the flashback itself starts off with a man in a suit and a hat, dropping off Tenko. And his mom's like, thank you for being so understanding. I'm sorry my boy bothered you. And she's like, I'll be sure to give him a talking to. And it's like, that's where it started and ending. Like, real subtle, hiding in plain sight. And there's only one guy that really dresses like that in the series, and it's freaking All For One. And right after this, we see his dad being a piece of crap to him because, he's admiring heroes and whatnot. And his dad doesn't like heroes because, Nana is his mother, and she had to let go of him because she's protecting him from All For One, which was all for naught because he wound up just targeting the family anyway. But after he abuses Tenko some more, we see Tenko crying. And the narration shows us that he's 5 years old at this point. And that's important because in the My Hero world, if your quirk doesn't manifest at least by the age of 5, that means that it probably never will, and that you are essentially quirkless. But it's after this fact, later on, that his quirk does manifest. Actually, just a few pages later in this chapter, where he winds up accidentally killing his dog and his entire family, in one of the most tragic, if not the most tragic sequence in the entire series. So this instance we're seeing in this chapter where he's holding All For One's hand, I assume is moments before that, where he's walking him to his house to drop him off. So yeah, this was like the whole thing in the first place. All For One and Yujiko's plan to groom their new heir to be the vessel of All For One so that they could take One For All and then All For One could take over his body. Which obviously he failed to do, and it blew up in his face. Also the same way that Bakugo blew up in his face as well. But real quick, guys, GamerSup's end of Season 5 sale is still going. They still have their Season 5 hoodie, gamer bag, weeb tray, and Space Punk snapback hat. You can also get a free waifu jug with orders of $100. Of course, you could still grab some great GamerSups and caffeine free. Both have the great nootropics in it that give you that focus and energy. They also have these awesome sus bars, which are only 100 calories and only has 1 gram of sugar and 8 grams of protein. My favorite flavor is the chocolate. I cannot get enough of these things. They also have gamer tea in both caffeinated and non-caffeinated. I personally really like the caffeine-free sleepy time with theanine. You can also get some of these awesome gamer soups, which I absolutely love. So guys, check the link in the description and make sure to use code BIGZ for 10% off. Thanks, guys. But after Izuku sees this, he's like, I'm getting closer. I have to keep trying as much as it takes. So yeah, once Izuku hits him with another vestige, I'm pretty sure we're going to go more into this flashback. And we're going to see, the full truth that I just talked about. And this will, allow Tenko to come more through Shigaraki. And also allow Shigaraki to see the truth of everything. Even though he's so far gone at this point, I doubt he'll even really care that much. But the whole big moment that we're really waiting for, with not just the memories being unhatched, but it's for Nana to be sent to Shigaraki. Because once Nana gets in there, the vestige of the 7th user Nana, it'll probably pull Tenko more so through, I guess, more than ever, because Tenko admired Nana, and that's why his dad abused him. I'm laughing. It's awful, but I'm just saying, like, it's such a stupid motivation for his dad to be such a piece of crap. But we're cutting away from the battle between Izuku and Shigaraki here, as Shigaraki is, like, freaking out again with his quirk singularity body, like, doing all of the Tetsuo stuff that we've seen before. And we're cutting away to see that UA is successfully being landed. Like, that's been falling for, like a year now. Gentle was being able to hold it up with his quirk. And we also see Cementoss helping out. Really like Cementoss. Very underrated character. I wish Horikoshi would have utilized him more in the series. Like, his quirk to be able to manipulate cement is ridiculous. But that ticking clock of UA falling is now done. They're on the ground. So we don't really have to worry about that anymore, I suppose. But at the end of the chapter, we're cutting away to the evacuation shelter. And we're seeing everyone watching the battle, because it's being recorded by that student with the Karen haircut. And we see Eri running away. And that's the final panel of the chapter, and the narration's like she's running towards... So this is another theory that we've been talking about for a while, and I'm thinking that this is going to lead to Eri eventually getting to the battlefield. I know, it's like, how is she going to do that? Well, one way or another, she's just going to get there, I suppose, because she kind of has to, in my opinion, because I think Eri is going to wind up using her quirk, her rewind quirk, on Shigaraki. And yes, I'm pretty sure she can use it because it looks like her horn is big enough. It has contained enough energy or time particles or whatever the logic behind her quirk is to use her quirk. And why is she going to use it on Shigaraki? Well, she can rewind him, in theory, back to him being Tenko. Because, the whole thing here is that Shigaraki is inherently innocent. He wasn't born to be this ultimate evil villain. He was Tenko Shimura at first. He wanted to be a hero, ostensibly, since he admired Nana so much. But it was all for one that, ruined his entire life. Shigaraki, who he is now, is far beyond saving. Like, we've already established that. But Tenko is not. There's still that aspect of Tenko in him, which Izuku is fighting for right now. So once that aspect of him breaks through, Eri can come in and use her rewind quirk to transfer him back to Tenko, because the way that I see it, at least, is that Eri's quirk is time-based more than like any other magical supernatural aspect of it. I think she's rewinding the time of a person. So in theory, the aspect that Shigaraki is, the entity that he is, can be rewound back to Tenko as a child and then be re-raised again as a hero, right? I think that's where it's headed. And I also think that maybe it's not just going to stop there. Maybe Eri's quirk can be used on Toga and Dabi as well, because they're all inherently innocent. They're all victims of circumstances. Like Toga, she just needed counseling and therapy, especially quirk therapy as well, because the quirk that she was born with made her drawn to blood, made her be obsessed with being other people, because that's how her quirk works. And, her parents were pieces of crap as well, didn't really help her. So that led her to the life that she has lived. Same thing with Dabi. Even though Dabi, as a child, Toya, he was still crappy, but still could have had better parents, obviously. That led him down to the path that he has lived now. So if she just rewinds all three of them, they can all be re-raised as heroes, right? And it's kind of like a cop-out. Saving these characters that have done terrible things, but it's Horikoshi, it's battle manga, and I can see it happening that way. I'm not too positive that this will happen to Dabi and Toga, but I can definitely for sure see it happening to Shigaraki here. But let me know what you think is going to happen in the comments, guys. And please follow me on TikTok and Instagram. I'm trying to get 10,000 followers on either of those platforms, so I'd really appreciate it if you did that. And have a great day, guys. I'll see you in the next one.